Hi, so welcome to Rcampus. So I'm going to walk you through how to submit something for evaluation. First thing you'll need to do is use your username and your logon. Now for this particular demonstration, I'm using a generic logon. So after you have selected that, select logon. So as you can see, I'm Trudy today. So the first link that I will need to select, which is in one of two places, is called assigned matrices. There's 1 and 2. Now when I select assigned matrices, there are 3 tabs that will appear to me. One is to submit, the next one is to assess, and the third one is by me. You will never use the by me. That is only for an instructor's purposes. So to begin with, we're first going to look at to submit. To submit would be to allow you to submit an actual item for evaluation. So when I select submit your items, I'm now taken to a screen which is a matrix screen. So now in this particular instance, you can see that there are 3 activities. There are brief instructions. There are activities that run horizontally as well as down the sidebar. Now if you notice, everything is also color-coded. Now the color coding schema is listed up at the top. Gray means not started. Yellow means that you started but have not submitted anything. Purple means that you have submitted. Green means it's been accepted. Brown means it's been returned, and blue means that it has been completed. Now the only people that should be returning stuff are actually instructors, and that would, in that case, it would either be from the individuals in the lab or the 791 instructor themselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Open Cell. And since this one has already been submitted, I'm just going to walk you through the actual interface itself. Because once you have select submitted, you can no longer submit any particular items. But in this case, we can see here's the activity, here's a description, there are guidelines. If you would like to look at the evaluation rubric, you can do so by selecting the activity. But in this case, notice that there's nothing that you can do to the rubric. And the reason for that, if you recall, as I stated before, that you're only submitting an item to be evaluated. So now in this case, you can see that there's a document and artifact, and you can see that it is UBD Part 1. And you can also see that there's a message stating that the current status does not allow for submissions. Now if I scroll down a little bit further, you can see a change log and specifically everything that has happened. Now if you do make any changes, there is also a save menu down here at the bottom. Be sure to select that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to assigned matrices. And this time I'm going to use the To Assess tab. Now I have changed the role from actually being the individual that is submitting something to be assessed to becoming an assessor or an evaluator. Now what I would suggest that you do is you select by program. This will save you an extra click. So by selecting by program, you can now see all of the individuals in the class, and we purposely left that open just so that you can see other people's assessments, but also for ease of use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look at Karen's, and I can see that she has one thing submitted, she has one that's been accepted, and one that has been completed. Okay, so now when I select on Karen's name, you can see her particular matrix comes up. Now I am going to work on the one that has been accepted, because the blue, if you recall, means it's been completed, so there's no further evaluations necessary. So by selecting the open cell, you can see it looks exactly the same. The only thing that has changed is the color. I now have an additional hyperlink that's called Score It. When I select Score It, a new rubric opens. Now this one's going to function a lot differently. In this case, when you see when I mouse over, I get different colors. And I can select these particular colors. This is how I'm going to assess each individual. Now when I provide feedback, here is where I want to provide feedback. Now when you are evaluating your peers, you're going to want to complete feedback within each particular cell. Now remember, you need to be detailed oriented when you're providing feedback. This is not a space to put down great job, wonderful presentation. You need to put down what did they do good? Why was the assessment strategy really well? So when you give them a level 2 measure, in this particular case, you should actually detail why you decided they're a level 2. Also, make sure that you're giving them some strengths and weaknesses. Tell them what they did really good, but also tell them, what needs some improvement. Now, the last thing to remember, as in all things with technology, save your score. If you don't save it, you're going to have to redo it and resubmit. So now when you save the score, you can see the rubric score. So I gave Trudy a 60%, which means she's probably got some room for improvement. And then you're going to close that. And the last thing to do is make sure that you flag this as completed. Now, the only time you're going to flag this in and completed is if you're doing a singular evaluation. If you have multiple people doing evaluations, do not select that option. In that case, you just want to leave a note. Put down Brad completed an assessment. And then close the window. Okay, so in short, that's just a really brief overview on how we're going to use the tool. We'll get much more in depth in practice in class. Thanks a bunch.